हीन है, उस विच भी कोई ऊणता नहीं। हे पातशाह, सारे संसार विच तैथों बिना होर कोई नहीं है, इस वास्ते किसे नू झूठा आख्या नहीं जा सकता। शुक्राना गुरु जी महाराज for blessing us, for giving us this bliss and happiness. And today we have with us Anshuman ji, who will be sharing his journey with Guruji Maharaj. And as we all know that satsang sunan wale da vi kalyan hunda hai aur sunan wale da vi, we are so blessed, we feel so blessed that he blesses us each and every day. So with folded hands and bowed head, I request Anshuman ji to kindly unmute himself and share his journey with Guruji Maharaj.
Jai Guruji. Am I audible properly?
There was a little echo. Could you say some more words, please?
Is it better now?
It's perfectly no. It's still there. Still, there's an echo. Are you logged in from two gadgets?
Yes. Let me. Is it better now?
Perfectly fine.
One second. Just one more second. Is it better?
Connection
Hello?
is little. We'll raise hand just in case your voice is not audible, so that we don't interrupt. And
Okay.
right, I won't speak. I'll just raise my hand whenever there's a glitch in the voice.
Okay, that sounds good.
Shukrana Guruji, your timing. So this is his timing for you to start now.
Okay. Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji for the very sacred, beautiful invitation to your darbar. And also giving me the opportunity to share the satsang second time on this particular satsang community. I'm really honored and I'm really grateful. So I'd like to share how, Guruji has made my life completely heavenly. Every single day, I just feel that life has become such a miracle. Every day, there is such joy, such happiness, such bliss, and how Guruji has completely transformed my life in every imaginable way, in every category imaginable. He has just immensely blessed me, immensely made me so happy. So words are just mere words. We can never do justice with words. So Shukrana Guruji. Thank you. So, I was not always very happy few years ago. Had you met me, I would have looked very different. My face would have been different. Now, it's strange, but some of you might probably understand. 24/7, there is a smile on my face. 24/7. I wake up with a smile. I'm throughout my day with a smile. There is this inner joy, inner peace. There's this love that is permeating throughout the day. And there's this there's this harmony in life, and that has been, I think, the biggest joy, the biggest gift I observe Guruji has gifted my life with. uh, there's a shabad, Satgur hoye dayal to dukh na janiye, right? So if Sadguru is merciful on us, then we don't even feel the pain, and this is Kali Yuga, right? There are a million ways to get sad every day. Every day there's something in the news which makes us pain, makes us feel pain, and Guruji just makes you not feel the pain, not be like ignorant about the things, still be merciful, still have a loving heart, but it doesn't touch you. So that has been such a blessing. And God is also called Paramanand, right? Paramanand. And Guruji, if he chooses, makes us feel those feelings now and then, it's just so joyful. So I'll share like the satsang with essentially uh, one thing I really uh, think a lot about. The thing is about what I like to think about is active versus passive spirituality. So, active versus passive. So, passive spirituality is that when we are waiting for things to happen to us, that Guruji will do this for us, और ये मेरे साथ चीजें होंगी, या फिर मैं इंतजार कर रहा हूँ कि someday when Guruji is happy, then something will happen for me. So in my conception, I think of that as passive, that I'm waiting for things, and what am I doing? मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? And there is a lot of mention in Bani about this concept. So uh, in the Japji Sahib there is a lot of mention, and in particular this line, "Karmi apo apni ke nede ke dur," right? So it's your own karmas, it's your own actions which actually determines who sits close and who sits afar. कि कौन पास बैठेगा और कौन दूर बैठेगा, ये आपके एक्शंस डिटरमिन करेंगे. So I really relate to that thinking a lot, because it makes me feel that there is a lot I can do. And I'll share a couple of satsangs how Guruji has shown me more about that wisdom. So there is this beautiful dream darshan in which I was carrying some sangat to Guruji in a plane. So I was flying some sangat to Guruji's darbar in a plane, and then the first sangat who came to Guruji was walking very fast, and Guruji chal rahe the, and the sangat really wanted a very specific hukum for them. They wanted to know कि Guruji मैं क्या करूं. So Guruji थे, कुछ बोला नहीं Guruji ने, and Guruji kept on walking. I told the sangat कि just wait for 3 days, you'll get your hukum. So they said okay. So they waited for 3 days and they got their very specific hukum from Guruji, which they followed. Now what happened? Then I again went to the airport and one more sangat came to Guruji. Now this particular lady really wanted to lose weight. She wanted to lose weight a lot, and she was very desperate that Guruji, please, मेरा weight lose करना है, please मुझे बताइए मैं क्या करूं, please tell me what to do. And she was very desperate. Now Guruji didn't say anything. Guruji was walking fast, and I was with the sangat, and I told the sangat ki, the person just before you came, they waited for 3 days, they got their hukum, and then they were able to follow. And the same thing happened with me. The same thing happened with my dad. So it'll also happen to you. But while you wait for 3 days, eat less butter. And it was so interesting. This part about eat less butter, right? We can laugh about it. But the point is that Guruji will help us, but we have to do our actions, right? We have to do our things. And Guruji really, in my experience, likes it when we are doing our best in every single day. And the reason this is such an important, for me, I really think about this concept a lot because, you know, so there's this very beautiful story from Ramayana in which, एक ब्रिज बन रहा होता है लंका की तरफ, एंड वानर सेना होती है, एंड एक छोटी सी गिलहरी होती है. So Gilehri wants to also help, but all the monkeys started laughing at the Gilehri ki tu itni choti hai, how will you be able to help us? So what she does, that Gilehri, she starts picking up small pebbles of her size and starts helping with the bridge. Now everybody started laughing at her, but then Lord Ram got so happy. He said, "Ki I'm so happy what you did." So you see, it's not about the size of our efforts, but the intention of our efforts. And we take one step towards the infinite, and he or she takes a million steps towards us. So it's really the intention that we can contribute with. And I'll share, like in the last satsang, when I got the opportunity to share, I shared a lot about the forgiveness practice. And that I feel has been one practice which has completely transformed my life. It has just made my life heaven. uh, there's this joy. It just completely has healed my life. And for sangat who might not have heard that satsang, I'd be happy to share the audio recording from last time. So in like quick summary, the practice is that in Guruji's presence, in your mind, you invite the person with whom you're feeling some friction, and you send them love, unconditional apology, and unconditional forgiveness. And you really do that with all your heart, all your intentions. And when you really feel it has happened, then you open your eyes, and that's about it. And this practice has just been miraculous in my experience for my life. It has healed dozens and dozens of broken friendships and relationships. It's been so helpful. So back in 2020, when the year started, I, you know in my own sort of silliness or ignorance, not ignorance, but rather excitement, I made a spreadsheet, and I started writing name of every person from my kindergarten with whom I might have remembered some frictional memory, kuch na kuch hua ho. So I wrote one person down for every memory. And at the end of few days of work, the list had like 400 people, you know, right from my childhood to, my present day. And I was like, okay, that's a list of 400 people. Uh, I could do one person a day, and then uh, that'll be pretty good. Like at the end of the year, that'll be a pretty significant healing, pretty significant clearing of whatever karma or whatever, right? So then what happened is I started doing that practice pretty uh, diligently. I would do one forgiveness every night, and invariably I would just feel so good. It was as if this inner healing was happening, and I would feel so incredible just the day forward, right? And now the beauty started happening was that as we know, right, we take one step towards Guruji and he takes a million steps towards us. Miraculously, what started happening was that automatically my uh, I would start I would get dreams in which I'm forgiving people with whom I'm not even done the forgiveness practice. So in the background, the forgiveness was happening without me having done those practices. So एक dream में मैं तीन लोगों को एक साथ forgive कर रहा हूँ. ऐसे ऐसे हो रहा है. And so it's like right, our intention. When our intention is there, Guruji multiplies our intention. So that has been my experience. So if you like then think about it, so this is in my opinion, active spirituality, right? We are doing something. We are actively sending love to people whom we've been experiencing some pain. We are actively doing things. We are not waiting कि 10 साल बाद कुछ कर्म ठीक हो जाएंगे अपने आप or something, गुरुजी कुछ करा देंगे, but देखो करा गुरुजी ही रहे हैं, but it's like आप क्या कर रहे हो, मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. And so that, in my estimation, in my experience, has been such a game changer. uh, Another thing I'll share in the same category of active spirituality is the concept of feedback. Asking for feedback. So for last 3 years, like almost every night before sleeping, I ask Guruji, "Ki Guruji, please tell me, what did I do wrong today? How could I have done things better today, and how could I improve?" Every night I would ask this question. And invariably, right, what we ask from Guruji, we get those things. Ask and ye shall receive, knock and it shall be opened. That's what Jesus said. So, so I would ask Guruji every night, "Ki please tell me how I could improve." So invariably, I would get a message from Guruji, either in a dream or in like somebody would tell me very clearly, "This is how you could improve." So I started getting like these messages, how I could improve myself. Now I started writing those messages in a list, just on my phone. I would just write down, "Oh, this is how I could improve. This is how I could improve." And over these 3 years, that list has like gone pretty big, right? I have so many things to improve. And now I try to review that list every week, for last few years. And to me, that has been such a game changer. That reminds me that I have some tendencies where I can fall, so I can be more careful about those things. So in my experience, I think that's also a form of active spirituality. We can do some things to actively improve ourselves. uh, so that has been really beautiful. And uh, it's so this was like one of the points I wanted to share. The second thing I'd like to share, Satsang, is about Ardas. So we all love to do Ardas, right? Ardas for our loved ones, our families, or people who are suffering. And naturally, right, Ardas for ourselves. And so last year, with Guruji's grace, I started uh, receiving some wisdom about Ardas, which I'd like to share. So essentially, I got one very, very beautiful dream with Guru Gobind Singh Ji, in which I was being taught how to do Ardas. And one of the messages that I remembered was that whenever you do Ardas, don't ever ask anything for yourself. So don't ever ask anything for yourself. So do it for others, essentially. So that was like great. So now I'll share a very personal experience of how that came into be. So last year, at the peak of COVID, during March, I was in the Bay Area, and uh, I started getting symptoms of COVID. And I was getting like breathlessness, cough, dry cough, and all the classic symptoms. And उस time पे the COVID had just started, so things were not even like easy to test and all that. So it started getting bad, and I was like, okay, if it doesn't get better in 3 to 4 days, in like literally like next day, I was like, if it doesn't get better tomorrow, I'm actually going to go to the hospital, because it was getting a lot. So I was taking medicines, but it was not helping. Now, one night in particular, I was pretty sick. I was like even difficult to sleep. I was lying on my bed, on my stomach, and it wasn't really helping. Now, what happened? I typically like to, do some kind of meditation or ardas before sleeping. So that night, it was an interesting situation. I had two choices. I could either pray to Guruji for myself, Ki Guruji, please heal me, or I could pray for Sarbat Davala. So it was like a binary choice. And I was like, Guruji, अब क्या करें? आपसे अपने लिए मैं हेल्थ मांगू कि हालत तो बहुत बुरी है, या फिर you know सरबत दा भला. So it's very like binary, this or that. So I was like, ki sarbat da wala, that is what we learn about, and that is what we think about. So let me do sarbat da wala. So I prayed for sarbat da wala, and then I went to sleep with great difficulty. Now what happened is, that same night I received a darshan in which Guruji was sitting on my bed right next to me, and Guruji said in Punjabi, कि ए कुछ नहीं हुआ, सिर्फ थोड़ा सा वायरल लोड है. So viral load, for any of you in the sciences, is the number of virus particles that your immune system tackles. That's called the viral load. So Guruji said कि कुछ नहीं हुआ, viral load है बस. So I woke up absolutely asymptomatic, without any symptom at all. And that same night, I also received a darshan with Sangat, in which I was taught a very specific technique how to do ardas. Uh, I won't share that because that was specific for me, but my point being that, see, it's our intention that counts. It's not the technique that counts. And Guruji gifts us with more techniques when our intentions are in place. So it was really beautiful, and it was such a beautiful teaching from Guruji about Sarbat Da Bhala, and also how I he saved my life. So Shukrana Guruji. Uh, and if you think about it, right? If you think about it, that within the Sarbat, right, we all are part of it. Our family is part of it. All our loved ones are part of it. So just by praying for Sarbat Da Bhala, by definition, it contains everything else. Uh, Similar experience happened with somebody in my family. They got very sick. They even got super sick that they, you know, had comorbidities. And now, so the thing was, like, I was not asking Guruji to heal him, because, right, why would we ask anything? And then, so he came in my dream, my uncle, and he said, "Oh, Anshuman, why are you not praying for me? Or tell me how to pray for myself." And in the dream, I told him that, just pray for Sarvat Davala. Don't pray for yourself or your family. If you do that, then everything happens. Uh, Now, what happened is, he became good overnight, right after that dream. That day, he just started getting better. And again, there was such a beautiful lesson from Guruji about Sarvat Dabhala. When we just selfishly pray for ourselves or our family, we are playing a very small game. But when we pray for the Sarbat, within that, the entire Brahmand is contained. So we can actually aim for the highest. We can also do ardas for Guruji. We can also pray for Guruji. And I'll share one example how, because Guruji does unconditional love, right? So what that means is that he loves us without asking for us to love him back. So if he's healing us, he will not ask, please heal me, because if he does, that will become conditional. So it is up to us to love him, right? He would never ask that. Now, it's funny, like a few months ago, last year rather, I was in a satsang, and I was like, Guruji, I'm not going to ask anything from you, but I'm going to actually send you love. So, we all sit in satsang receiving Guruji's light and love. So I said, Ki Guruji, I'm going to send you light and love. So I would imagine that I'm sending love to Guruji with my hands, with my third eye and whatnot, right? With my intentions, with my body. And so I did that a few times. And very funny, like a few days later, I received a darshan, Guruji's voice, that Guruji said, Anshuman to aajkal kuch mangta hi nahi hai, in a very like funny way, like in a very sweet way. Jaise ki Guruji was saying ki he's not asking for anything these days. Uh, you know, so it was so beautiful. So we can do ardas for the Sarbat Dabala, and that has been a beautiful learning from Guruji. So the second thing I'd like to after this, I'd like to share, satsang about, you know, Manmukh versus Gurmukh. So we all hear in Bani about how there is, Gurmukh is the direction of the Guru, direction Gurmukh, Gur ki taraf mukh. Manmukh is man ki taraf mukh, right? So we are in Manmukh, we are in the direction of our mind. In Gurmukh, we are in the direction of Guru's direction. So even in Christianity, there's this beautiful phrase that is used a lot. It's called the straight and narrow path. So the straight and narrow path is the path of, essentially, the Guru's path. And there's a beautiful Egyptian proverb which says that, uh, you know, in order to walk the bridge of heaven, your heart has to be as light as that of a bird's feather. Like इतना हमको हल्का होना पड़ेगा उस ब्रिज के ऊपर चलने के लिए. And there was, I remember hearing once satsang that गुरुजी ने बोला कि सुई से भी छोटी जो छेद होता है ना, उसमें से निकलना पड़ेगा आगे आगे चलने के लिए. एंड द संगत सेट की, गुरुजी हम तो आपका पीछे पीछे चलते रहेंगे, आपके चोले को पकड़ के हम भी पार कर लेंगे. So Guruji started smiling, So essentially, like, it's a straight and narrow path. It's a very narrow path forward, and Manmukh and Gurmukh, right? If we are Gurmukh, then we are on that straight direction of Guru's teachings. And I'll share one beautiful darshan about this. Uh, so I received very beautiful dream darshan of Hanumanji, Hanumanji's temple. It was probably the most beautiful temple I've ever seen in my life. It was very, very pretty. So now there was a lake in the temple, and what you had to do, and there was like small pebbles on the lake. So you had to cross the lake by walking on those pebbles. And the pebbles were like so small that you only like use your toe. आप अपने सिर्फ पाँव के अंगूठे से ही उन पत्थरों पे चल सकते हो. Now each of those pebbles had a small eye drawn on them, जैसे आंख draw हुई थी, and now you had to put your toe exactly on that point, otherwise you'll lose balance and you'll fall into the river, into the lake. Now and I was carrying something very precious in my backpack, like very, very precious. Now imagine, like, uh there's like in Bani, there's, right, panch chor, steal all our diamonds, right, all our spiritual wealth. And when we are distracted, kam krodh lobh moh ahankar, we get distracted, and then the panch steal our wealth, spiritual wealth. So it was like that. I was carrying something very precious in my backpack, and I had to walk the very narrow path of that pebbles. Now I took the first step. I put my foot on the pebble, and I was able to stand good. Now I put the second foot on the pebble, and my mind got distracted, and I immediately fell into the water. It was like, so, it was kind of like so embarrassing almost. I was like, why didn't I like pay attention? But see, the point is, like, it's like Gurmukh versus Manmukh, right? The moment we get distracted from this path, from Guru's path, from Guru's hukum, then suddenly we are in the territory of Manmukh, and then we fall. Then it's a very dangerous part. Yes, Guruji always protects us from falling. At the same time, we absolutely need to be hyper aware, especially as we all are carrying something very precious in our life, all our spiritual wealth from lifetimes. Like Guruji said, ki in Kali Yuga, your throat burns away your good karma. Ki that's like kam krodh lobh moh ahankar, right? We get angry, we say something bad, and we burn our good diamonds, or we you know we do chugli, and then suddenly our karmas are getting burnt away. So we have to be like so careful, hyper aware. And how it relates to this satsang about silence. uh, so there was this particular experience few months ago, rather. What happened was, I would talk a lot on the phone with some sangat, and sometimes I would get like really drained. I would get so tired after talking, and I was like, Guruji, even though my intention is to, be as helpful as I can, but I'm just getting so exhausted. Why is this like, why is this the case? I don't like that. And then that same night, I received a dream with Lord Shiva, and Shivji said in Punjabi, he said, Tutta boliye nirankar paiye. Tutta boliye nirankar paiye. Now I didn't know what that word meant, and I didn't know Shivji would speak Punjabi. But then in the dream, I also like got an idea of the meaning. That was the feeling with which I woke up. The meaning is that speak less and reach nirankar. So Tutta boliye nirankar paiye. I was like, wow, it's happening the same night after I was asking Guruji about talking so much, and I'm getting this message that, speak less. And I was like, okay. Then a few days later, I get another darshan, of Lord Shiva. There's a big swarup of Lord Shiva with finger on his lips. So as if, he's like saying that be silent. Shh. So it's like really another confirmation that, you don't need to talk. So it was pretty nice. And uh, then there was another very beautiful darshan. Guruji uh, came in that dream darshan, and it actually happened 2 days in a row. So Guruji said, "Ki whenever you're sharing a satsang, don't say one word more than your experience. Don't add your interpretations. Don't add meanings, and just be precise. Just speak word. Don't preach. You know." So then I asked Guruji in the dream, "Ki Guruji, what if somebody lives their entire life like that? What if somebody speaks only what's needed and not a word more?" And Guruji said that if a person does that, they'll become a very high saint. That's what Guruji said. That person will become a very high saint if the person can do that all their life. So it's really beautiful, the importance of speaking less, being in silence, and it's just so, such a beautiful message. And we talk so much, and like most of the Mahapurush, like obviously Guruji is Paramatma. Guruji, for those who've been in Guruji Sangat, we all hear that pin drop silence hota tha, kuch bilkul silence. You hear so similar about from so many other Mahapurush. You hear that from Neem Karoli Babaji, their Sangat would be absolutely silent. Ramana Maharishi, absolute silence. So there's so much beauty in silence. And so that has been really beautiful. Uh, Another very, very beautiful and powerful satsang I'd like to share is about Kundalini. So Kundalini is something some of you might be aware of. So it's the chakras that we have in our body, and we have this inner spark, inner light, which gets activated by Guru's kripa. And so, slight backstory, since I've been like 13, 14, 15 years old, uh, I've been very like thirsty about Kundalini and chakras, right? I've been reading books about it. I've been attending like meditation programs about it, and just kind of been very, very curious. And, for most people who are in the yoga sort of in the space, that is something most people aspire for. They're like, wow, man, that's like, gosh, Kundalini ka experience, all right. So now what happened is I'm like 16, 17, 18, and I'm like reading these books, and they all say that Kundalini, if handled carelessly, can really make a person go crazy. So every book says that. Even Autobiography of a Yogi said that. Paramahansa Yogananda ji says that. There's so much mentioned, in the yogic literature, in Yoga Sutra by Patanjali ji. So many books mention about Kundalini and chakras. So now, fast forward, I started attending Guruji's Darbar with his grace, and suddenly what happened is ki I stopped thinking about Kundalini, because obviously we are following like, simple practical lessons of Guruji's Darbar, right? Simple teachings, no ninda, simple living, satsang, seva, simran, kirat kamai and all similar good concepts. So I'm like, that's kind of the way of life. That's what I'm mostly thinking about. And now what happens is, this is so beautiful. Like, so one night I'm doing a forgiveness practice with somebody. I'm just closing my eyes. I'm in a recliner and I'm doing forgiveness practice. And would you believe it? I'm doing forgiveness practice and I feel a spiral of like bright orange red fire spiraling up my spine. मेरी spine में एक orange spiral गोल गोल ऊपर move हो रहा है. It's very hot. It's like fire hot. And then it pierces my heart area. Then it pierces my throat. Then it pierces my crown chakra. Then I feel like cool, like cool wave. So hot and cold. And I feel like so different. Like it was like, like super powerful electric volt, right? But at the same time, it was so gentle. It was like gentle, it was so smooth, so delicately and so smoothly done. And I was like, wow, this was Kundalini experience. This is what I've been craving for since I've been a kid. And see, I'm not, so I'd like to share here the Guruji is Paramatma, right? So Guruji, if he chooses, can just press a button and these things can happen to us. In a typical spiritual journey, sadhak have to do centuries of jap tap, centuries of tapasya. And even then, if they're lucky, their guru can activate their kundalini for them. And then even then that, if they can do it safely, it's so like risky, right? And Guruji can do these things for us, even us without us asking for these things. And even when we are doing our regular things, see, like I'm not doing any special kriya yoga or anything. I'm just kind of doing forgiveness. And Guruji usme itna beautiful gifts aise experience karne ko dete hain. So that was so beautiful. And I'll share like one experience from one sangat in Bay Area. Like, uh, so she similarly, very, very beautiful, such a sweet, loving person. And so she received a darshan in which Guruji came in her dream and Guruji opened her third eye, apni ungli se. And since that day, she says ki unko like essay, like, like literally the word she uses, download hote hain, she gets like messages, very specific, So the point is like, these could be called like Ridhyan Siddhyan, right? Now, Guruji can do things for us at the right time when he feels like, and we don't have to ask him for anything. We just ask him for चरणों की प्रीति. That's about it. उसके अलावा और कुछ मांगने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. And when he feels what he feels at the right time, he will gift it to us in a way that is best for us. Because had I just asked him for Kundalini, he would have given it, but it might have been terrible for my, for my health or for my other things. So he gives these things as he chooses. And because he is Paramatma, he can just do it based on our bhav. We don't have to like follow a very specific jap tap, because Guruji can do anything for us. So that was and there's this beautiful beautiful saki from Jesus, Lord Jesus. So when Jesus came, and so there was a lot of mention about Old Testament mein 10 commandments hai, which are essentially like a set of rules and regulations about different things of life. So Jesus came, and there was a lot of superstition at that time. And Jesus came and he started changing a lot of things. He was like, God is to be loved, God is not to be feared. And he did a lot of things. So but the old priests of that time were not too happy. So they one time asked Jesus ki, what are the, you talk so much out of these 10 commandments, why don't you tell us which ones are the most important? Now what Jesus said, he actually said that, he said two things which were not even in the 10 commandments exactly. He said, just do two things and all the commandments will essentially be taken care of. That's probably what he meant. But he said, just do these two things. The first was love God. And the second he said was love thy neighbor as thyself. So love God and love thy neighbor as thyself. So it's like, Jin prem kiyo tin hi prapayo. If we just do that, within that, everything is contained. Preeti, charno ki preeti. So within that, everything is contained. Uh, and you look at all Mahapurush, you look at Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he came and he dismantled all the old superstitions. He made things so simple, Kirat Kamai, Van Ke Chapna, Prab Ka Simran. Just that's it. Guruji came, he made exactly so simple. No part puja, no donation, no, none of these things. Simple, practical spirituality. Satsang Seva Simran. Same with like most Roop of Paramatma. They've simplified things. And we don't have to become so intertwined, so stuck in like superstitions. uh, Only love works here. Love is the only currency here. And love, uh, Guruji only looks at our love. That in my experience I've observed. That's it. And I used to be a very like checklist kind of person. As I mentioned, I like to write things. So I still so back in the day, when I was like relatively like new to the sangat and this life, and I would write down checklist of things to do in the satsang. So I would write down how to sit in the satsang, how to eat prasad, how to talk, how to not talk, how to sit, how to stand, how to share. I wrote like a checklist for every single category. It was like a 3-page checklist. And I felt like so good. I was like, wow, I'm trying to take this seriously so that I don't do like, any bedbi and anything. So I printed out those checklists. And before going to the satsang, they would be in my car and I would just read those 3 pages before entering the satsang. I would feel pretty good. I was like, wow, I'm doing cool things. I'm reading the checklist. And so now what happens is a few weeks pass, Guruji comes in my dream darshan and he takes that checklist in his hand, that printed checklist in his hand. And he tells me in the dream कि मुझे ना ऐसी checklist बिल्कुल भी पसंद नहीं है. That he doesn't like these checklists. I was like, okay, and from that day on, my only checklist has been love. Love is the only checklist here. Everything else is like a ritual. Everything else can be like a superstition. Love is the only and only checklist here. That has been my experience. So that was such a beautiful, such a beautiful teaching from Guruji. And if you think about it, right, it's about originality, right? We all have to be like true to our essence. If somebody is a poet, then you don't have to become a mathematician. You don't have to become somebody else. If somebody is a dancer, you don't have to become a singer. So whatever your way of expressing love to, the infinite God, to Guruji, that is our essence. That is our originality. That is the way we connect to the infinite. There's no conformity here. One kind of metaphor is like, in a cricket team, right? We don't all have to become like Rahul Dravid or Sehwag or Dhoni, right? We all have unique personalities, unique essence. We all have a certain style. And what has been my experience is that Guruji likes our style. He likes our originality. He likes the way we connect with him in such a unique one-on-one way. And that's what exactly he asked for, one-on-one. So that has been a beautiful experience. Uh, I'll just quickly share one satsang. It's such a very, uh, you know, very like beautiful. Before I share, can you let me know like how much time I have right now?
You can share one more, no worries.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So so this satsang. So first about originality, right? So we all have our own way of connecting to the infinite. And like when I started coming to the satsang, everybody would tell me that when you come to the satsang, आपकी सारी की सारी भक्ति ना हट जाती है और सिर्फ गुरुजी के ऊपर ही होती है सिर्फ. Like that's what everybody would tell me, and I was like, cool, that's great. Now, what was so interesting in my experience was that when I started coming to Guruji's Darbar, I actually uh, never did pretty much any bhakti of any other god, for example, right? Like I never in my memory, like I haven't like say chanted like Hanuman Chalisa or any other part that are pretty common, and I had not done that. Now what was so interesting in my situation, as I came to Guruji's Darbar, like mera thoda opposite hua for me. Like I started having this immense desire in my heart to worship Lord Hanuman, to worship like Durga Mata. I don't know where that came from. And I started receiving such beautiful darshans of Lord Hanuman, very, very powerful, some very powerful darshans of Durga Mata. And I was like, where is this coming from? Like, I didn't even worship them, ye kahan se, ye kyun ho raha hai? And it was like so like interesting. So what I'd like to share is ki, the path for you may be very different. There's no like conformity ki aise hi hoga. Like for me it has been so beautiful. Like there was one particular darshan in which Guruji became Hanumanji in the dream. Like he painted his face orange, and he basically was like Hanumanji. He was Hanumanji. And in the darbar there was a statue of Hanumanji, murti of Hanumanji with Shivji, with Guruji Swaroop. Like there was one very beautiful darshan in which Hanumanji uh, asked me to sing Hanuman Chalisa, and he started dancing on Hanuman Chalisa in the dream. I was like, wow, you know, what was that? It was so sacred. And I just thought, ki, like so special. It was so unique. And it just makes me kind of think about, this freshness, this originality in our spirituality, how everybody is like so unique, and how Guruji loves us in our own unique way. And there was this very beautiful darshan from Guruji like last week. Guruji was in a satsang, and was Guruji in Guruji satsang. I got a chance to talk to Guruji for a few minutes, and Guruji told me कि मैं बेपरवाह हूँ, and मैं ना लोगों के बुरी बातें भूल जाता हूँ, नहीं तो वो मुझसे हमेशा डरे हुए रहेंगे. So like Guruji is Guruji is saying that he's like, he wants us to love him. We fear him, we fear God too much. And I think, yeah, some fear is important, but I think love, in my opinion, is more important than fear. So that was so powerful. And so I'll just conclude the satsang with sharing just one satsang about uh, my experience, about my learning about uh, Satgurus. So essentially, Satgurus are form of God. Sadgurus are God. Paramatma, Sadguru are one and the same. And across across living time, across centuries and eons, God has taken form in different roop. So there was you know in the 1500s, 1600s, there was the Sikh Guru Sahibs. In 1800s, there was Sai Baba, then Neem Karoli Baba, so many holy men. Then Guruji came, and Guruji was more than Sadguru. He is Mahashiv, right? So now the thing is that if you think about it, Paramatma is Akal, right? He's Ad Sach Jagat Sach. He's been forever. So he's been sending Sadgurus across time for us to connect to Paramatma, to the light. And so if if I was, say, born in 1500s, at that time the Sadguru would have been Guru Nanak Dev Ji. In 1900s, late 1800s would have been Sai Baba, and in 2000, early 2000, it was Guruji, and Guruji is still around, still here. But my point is that you know every form of Sadguru is God. Is essentially, it's that same light which is expressing through different forms. So it is so essential for us to really respect every form of divinity, every form of God, and especially like really respect every form of holy holy scriptures. Coming from a Hindu Punjabi background, I did not have much knowledge about Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And early in the days of attending the satsang, I was a little casual about not being aware of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And, I was almost at the point of being disrespectful. I would sometimes, I would sometimes think, Ki Guruji, why are we listening to Kirtan? Why can't we just listen to Om Namah Shivaya? I would think like that. And in my ignorance, right? Because we are by nature like that, all of us. Now what happened is there was this beautiful dream darshan, beautiful and scary. It was very scary. Now what happened was that uh, I was in Bade Mandir, and Guru Granth Sahib Ji was in the Bade Mandir, and Guruji was standing. He was wearing a green chola. And then Guru Nanak Dev Ji, I felt also his presence. Now, Mool Mantra Ji was actually, being played, and now all the Sangat was standing and bowing down their head. Now, I was standing a little arrogantly in the darbar. Now, I was standing a little arrogantly, and Guruji very angrily came to me while the Mool Mantra Ji was playing. Very angrily, Guruji came to me and looked at me in the eye. और गुरुजी ने गुस्से में बोला कि तू झुकेगा नहीं क्या, यू नो कि झुकेगा नहीं. तो मैंने बोला, सॉरी गुरुजी, झुका तो हुआ हूँ. एंड देन गुरुजी ने एकदम साइलेंस में, was in silence for a few seconds, absolute silence for a few seconds. Then Guruji looked at me in the eye, and then Guruji hugged me. Guruji touched his heart to my heart, and then whispered something into my ears. And also in the dream, I got the message that if you're going to be disrespectful, then there's no place for you. That was the message. And so I woke up. I was like, oh my God, life khatam, Guruji gussa ho gaya, ab to bacha gaya life mein, done, that was my feeling. And so now what happened is that day onwards, pata nahi Guruji ne kya kiya, like that was like year and a half ago, like literally like every day, with Guruji's grace, like Bani, pura din, kuch na kuch, jaise there's this hunger inside to play all the time, घर पे भी चलते रहते हैं, it's like पता नहीं वो गुरुजी ने वो बीज डाला कहाँ से, and see, that is how he's बख्शनहार. वो जब गुस्सा भी होते हैं हमारे को हील कर रहे होते हैं, but we have to be absolutely respectful of uh, all the Sant, all the holy scriptures, Sant ki Ninda, right? There's an entire Ashtapati in Sukhmani Sahib Ji describing that. So we have to be like respectful, we have to be like humble, we have to be curious, and uh, you know, kind of like not cross the line, between curiosity and being disrespectful. Uh, and so yeah, I just wanted to share these experiences and how Guruji has absolutely completely transformed my life, and has been such a, and continues to be such a loving, exciting journey. I think the best word to describe is exciting. Every day is so exciting. There's like this freshness to wake up in the morning and see like, wow, aaj kya hoga? Or what am I going to learn today, or how could I improve today, that sort of thing. And even like the word sick, right? The word sick means to learn, to be a student. And Guruji is our eternal teacher. He's the Ad Gure Namah, right? Ad Gure Namah, Jagat Gure Namah, Sad Gure Namah, Shri Gurudev Namah. So he's the Akal teacher, he's the forever teacher, and we are the forever students. And I feel that has been such a beautiful, beautiful, loving experiences from Guruji. So thank you very much, and Shukrana, Guruji.
Shukrana, Guruji. Very rightfully said. Everybody has individual journey, and we are all a unique ID created by him, and we have one-on-one connection. So everybody's getting whatever they want. Whatever you seek, he's giving you without even asking. So thank you, Guruji, for this blissful, inspiring, spiritual blessings that he's given. So with Guruji's blessings, we'll take Agya. So over to you, Subodhji, for Shukrana. After that, Sangaji, you can unmute yourself and take Agya. Thank you so much, Guruji, for this evening and this blissful satsang.
जय गुरु जी, शुक्राना गुरु जी। किस किस गल दा शुक्राना करा मैं गुरु जी। ए मनुख चून देन दा शुक्राना, जिन्हों देवता भी तरसते ने। इस दिल दियां धड़कनां दा, इन साहां दा शुक्राना। अपनी संगत बनाउण दा शुक्राना, सत्संग च बिठाउण दा शुक्राना गुरु जी। हर पल अंग संग रहन दा ते ओदा एहसास दिलान दा शुक्राना। इस जिंदगी च सर उठा के जी पान दा शुक्राना गुरु जी। साडे जन्मां जन्मां दे भैड़े कर्मां नूं माफ करन दा शुक्राना। सानू जिंदगी दे नए मायने समझाउण दा शुक्राना गुरु जी। ते सब तो वड्डा शुक्राना उन सब परेशानियां दा गुरु जी, जिन्हां दी वजह दे नाल तुहाडा मिलना हो पाया। क्योंकि जे इस जिंदगी च वो दुख ते परेशानियां नहीं आंदियां ते असी शायद तुहानू लाभ ही नहीं पाना सी। बस मेरी यही अरदास है गुरु जी, सरबत दा भला करो, सब दा कल्याण करो। सत्संग, सेवा, सिमरन ते अपनी भक्ति दा दान दिओ गुरु जी। तुहाडी रहमतां दा जशन मनावां, पर कदी भी मेरे च मैं ना आवे। मैनू ए सोझी दिओ कि कुछ भी स्थिर नहीं है, सिर्फ तुहाडा ते मेरा रिश्ता ही सदा रहना है। सानू अपनी रजा विच राजी रहना सिखाओ गुरु जी। मैं कदे ना भुल्लां कि तुहाडी मर्जी तो बगैर कदे कुछ नहीं हुंदा। मैं याद रखां कि मेरी अगली सांह दा भी भरोसा नहीं। ना मैं अपनी मर्जी तो आया ते ना तुहानू देखां। जिस हाल च भी रखो, मैं तुहाडा शुकराना करना ना भुल्लां। गुरु जी, जे तुहाडी रहमतां पा के मैं नीवा नहीं रहना ते मैनू अपनी रहमतां ना बख्शा जे। मैं कदी ना भुल्लां कि जो सब कुछ दे सकदा है, वो सब कुछ कदे भी लै सकदा है। मैनू कुछ नहीं चाहिदा गुरु जी, सिर्फ वो चाहिदा है जो तुहानू मंजूर है। मैनू कदे भी वो ना मिले जो मैनू तुहाडे तो दूर करे। मेरे गुनाहां नू बख्श देना गुरु जी। असी चंगे माड़े तेरे, गुरु जी सानू बख्शो। असी कीते पाप बथेरे, गुरु जी सानू बख्शो। बस यही अरदास है तुहानू गुरु जी। जय गुरु जी, शुक्राना गुरु जी।
Before I forget, संगत जी, आज आपका या आपकी फैमिली में किसी का भी बर्थडे हो तो हमारी सारी संगत परिवार की तरफ से आपको many happy returns of the day. May Guruji keep us in his charan sharan and bless you with Naam as the best gift. Shukrana Guruji, Sarpatta Pala. Sangat ji, now you can unmute yourself and take Agya.
जय गुरु जी, शुक्राना मेरे मालिक का दम, शुक्राना मेरे मालिक।
शुक्राना